Today's guest speaker is a travel professional who will talk about a variety of travel topics and answer our questions. Hillary Zeiser is a travel consultant with Global Travel Collection, which is a large network of travel advisors with an office in Ada, Michigan. She has 26 years experience in the industry and numerous certifications from international tourist boards. We invite you to ask questions and make comments during Hillary's talk. In other words, we want it to be interactive. Hillary, let's get right to your discussion. The meeting's yours.
All right, I'm going to share my screen. So bear with me as I share. And as everyone can see my screen? No? Can we get a nod? Is everyone
Yep.
seeing everything?
Yeah,
Looks
I
good.
can
Looks
see
good.
it. Plus I've muted everybody and I'm muting people as we speak. So I'm going to have Hillary and Joe open. So just to let you
Great.
know.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Joe, and thank you all for spending some time to listen to my presentation today and talk travel. You'll see quickly that I love talking about travel. And trying to get my screen to go to the next one here. Okay, here we go. Joe did a really good job saying who I am. I am Hillary Zeiser. I'm a travel consultant with Global Travel Collection. Many of you might say, oh, what is a travel consultant? Being in the industry for 26 years, really, you started off travel agent was the term that you knew of what we've done. But over the years, our role has changed so much that really it's more of an advisory consultant type experience working with a travel advisor or consultant. So I feel that title is more appropriate for what we do. I have been doing this for 26 years. Yes, I started when I was 12. That usually is funny when you see me in person, but I started working for a company in Grand Rapids, and I did academic study tours to Europe for colleges, universities, social groups, families. Then I decided to move in and explore the hotel industry, and I was there for 9 years. I spent a bulk of my time at the beautiful Amway Grand Hotel in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Then I missed being traveling the globe, and I went to work for a major tour operator called Colette Vacations. You might recognize the name, seen them. They advertise on Wheel of Fortune. They've been around for over 100 years. And then I decided to slow down and get married, have a family, and I've been doing travel consulting now for about 12 years. And I just love the industry and love talking travel. And through all those years of what I've done is taking a lot of different certifications. Major tourist boards, organizations offer classes that you can take to become experts in their country, in their product, all the way from the UK to Australia, New Zealand, every destination, but also every major product that's out there, like a Colette Vacations, Riverboat Cruise Lines, your big cruise lines like a Caribbean, Celebrity. Every hotel chain has certification programs that you can go through and learn and be exposed to the products, which I think is important, being able to be knowledgeable about what you're doing. And speaking of knowledge, one of the favorite things that I've said since I started in my career is we know because we go. I started my first trip to Europe when I was 15, and I went through Europe with Blue Lake Fine Arts Camp, if you've ever heard of that small little fine arts camp in Michigan, and haven't stopped since. And have been to 4 different continents, over 50 countries and growing. My favorites are Australia, Costa Rica. There's a picture of me in Iceland, and I love Germany and the Christmas markets. My family is there. We went last year. I've been to China and the Great Wall. And of course, this time of year, I love getting down to the Caribbean and getting out of the cold Michigan weather. And a little bit about what is Global Travel Collection. There are major travel agencies. You've probably seen Travel Leaders, American Express, Global Travel Collection are the large entities of travel advisors. We are small but mighty. We have 1,500 expert travel advisors that bring in $2 billion of revenue per year. And we've been everywhere. We go everywhere. And with that reach, we have massive partnerships with airlines, hotels, tour operators. It gives us the ability to be friends and have great relationships. So if we need to learn about something, if we have a problem in destination, we have the ability to reach right out to that person and they take our phone calls because of who we are. It's a great relationship. It also gives us VIP access to knowing about the property, special needs that you might have as a traveler, or special experiences that you want. And yes, I've only been to 4 continents, so I'm missing a couple. But if people are traveling somewhere that I haven't been, I work with experts in the area. So I can reach out to somebody that has been there recently and knows the destination well and work me through how to best serve my clients. I have a great little video of why a travel consultant is important, and then I will share some more about what is a travel consultant.
A travel advisor knows that the best hotels may be the ones you've never heard of, and how to get you into a suite with a perfect view. We know how to get access to the best restaurants, venues, and hotspots. Travel advisors know how to make sure everything goes right, and what to do if something goes wrong. Wherever you're going, we've been there. Let us do the planning so you can do everything else.
I especially like the go human approach, especially now as we are being overwhelmed with AI. But why use a travel advisor? Why use a consultant? Number one is saving time, especially if you have a detailed itinerary and you want to go through Thailand, for example, go through Italy, go through Australia, New Zealand. These are really in-depth destinations where you are going to go from city to city and have someone that knows how to detail it and put it together and do the research, give you the comparisons, get to know you and see what kind of hotels do you like, what type of experiences that you like, and take all that information and do the work for you. So that way you can spend time doing other things in your life. And having the expertise and being able to personalize things that match exactly how you travel, what you want to see and do, and make sure that you're not missing anything, especially say you're traveling as far as Australia and New Zealand to getting the most out of your vacation. I loved in the video, it talks about handling issues. Issues arise and, in flight delays, different things that might occur. A volcano exploding in Iceland when you're there on vacation and making changes so that your vacation isn't interrupted. And there's all sorts of little things that can happen on a vacation and us knowing we're there, we're monitoring the situation. We're going to know before you even get to destination, perhaps, or before you get up that morning, we're going to fix that day and say, you're not going to go to the region where all the volcanoes are exploded. We're going to go to the other side of Iceland and see. So it's someone there that's watching out for you so you don't have to worry while you're on vacation or preparing to leave for your vacation. And also having someone there to organize every component from getting, leaving here and going and flying over, arriving with transportation, finding the best hotels, homes, villas, the tours and experiences, whether you like to be with a group of people to enjoy an experience or you want to see it privately. And perhaps there's a restaurant you've been dying to go to or a cuisine you want to try. All those things can be put together with a travel consultant. A major myth buster, I'm going to share some myths that are out there, is cost effectiveness. A lot of people say, oh, especially now that we've changed our name to advisor or consultant, it seems like it would be too expensive. And that really isn't the case. And we're here to show you everything that's included and the costs that are associated with that. And some people might say, oh, well, good example is I want to fly to the Caribbean in February and your trip was, $200 more. And I say, well, let's look at that trip that you looked at and let's look at mine. And the cheapest package that you saw might have a 37-minute window connecting through Charlotte in January and getting you onto St. Thomas Island, let's say. Well, I would probably never show you that flight because I want you to get to your destination. And sometimes 37 minutes in the winter months and even in the summer months just isn't enough time to connect. So we talk about how to make sure we're making the most of your vacation. My other favorite thing that I do is meeting with clients and organizing your bucket list. You might have gotten to your retirement now and saying, there's a list of things that I want to do. And you have it typed out on your phone or on a piece of paper. And I love to organize and say, let's create a 5-year plan. Let's create a 10-year plan of where to go and how to, check off everything that's on your travel bucket list. Does anyone have any questions before I move on about what a travel consultant does or myths you were wondering about or different things?
I think your last point was a really good one of trying to put together a travel plan for a longer time period. I think too often we just look ahead to the next year and then we get shut out of things sometimes and so you don't get to where you want to go. So I really kind of like that idea.
I do too. It reminds me of, when I was graduating undergrad and an advisor told me, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? And why don't you create a 5-year, 10-year plan of where do you see yourself? And I thought, well, that was a great thing. Maybe did I go everywhere I wanted to do everything? But now when you're going into your retirement years, where do you want to go? What do you want to see and do? And have that plan for you. Much more fun than talking with a financial advisor and thinking of your future plan. I'd rather think about a travel plan.
Or doing your taxes.
Exactly. That's exactly this time of year doing your taxes. Not fun. Much more fun to talk about travel. So speaking of that, everyone on this presentation or anyone that's going to watch in the future, everyone is different. Everyone has different travel goals, whether it be I want to go to every national park that's there, or I too want to go to all 7 continents, or I want to go to every football stadium in North America. Everyone has a dream and everyone has ideas. And one thing that travel advisors and consultants can do is help make those dreams a reality and how to organize them. And when you're seeing the world, there's so many ways to do it. And one of the first ways I think of is the escorted tours. And there's a lot of different comfort levels. This might be you're thinking this is your first time you're going to travel abroad, and especially if you're going to a destination where language is a barrier. Things like China, Thailand, even Italy, Spain. Why not do an escorted tour and leave everything to the experts? And I say escorted tours back in the day used to be, oh, it's just a bus full of people that are being herded in and out of destination. That's not what I want. There are so many different escorted tour products out there that there literally is something for everybody. And the new trend is doing smaller groups where you can go from 12 people to 20 people and you have a more intimate experience, but you don't have to think of anything and you don't miss anything. What I love about an escorted vacation is that tour manager and guide is an expert in the destination. They are telling you all sorts of things that you just wouldn't pick up on your own. And then when you go into the cities, they usually bring in another expert that's a city expert as well. So you get 2 people that you're learning about. You're really being immersed into the culture and learning all the interesting things about a destination. But now, say you've got an adventurous spirit, whether it be your first time, second time, but you have that dream of getting in a car and driving, especially on the opposite side of the road if you're very adventurous. Or you can also do things with a private driver. So you can have a more intimate experience and go at your own pace, have a slower trip than going, day by day on an escorted package. Traveling via rail, especially in Europe, is just a lovely way to see the destination and gives you a little bit more time, gives you a relaxing feel once you learn how to use the trains. I always tell my clients it just takes that once. Once you get on and figure it out, then you'll love the mode of train travel, and it's a beautiful way to see a country. And then there's people that have gone to Europe so many times but are dying to go back, and they want something completely custom. They want to go to towns that are not on any major tour itinerary. They just really want to go and live in Tuscany for a week and just live like the locals do. Great way to see the world and, just really be immersed in a culture. I put a little diagram here because I thought this was a great way, something that I do or my clients will do. They're on their iPad or their laptop and they look at a tour. Say they're dreaming of Ireland, and they look at an itinerary and say, yep, this is it. This is the tour I want to do. Or you can take this tour and then say, I want to do it at my pace, or I want to do it my way. Can I do this via rail? Can I do this as a self-driving? Can I do this with a private driver, or change some of the things and say, I don't want to go up to King's Court, but I want to spend more time in the Ring of Kerry. All of those things are an option for you and can be done in any destination, which I think is a really, great way. I tell people, look at escorted tours, even if they think they're not interested in, and look at the pace and look and see what you can do. And then we just talk it through and say, okay, well, let's make this your trip. Next one that is growing leaps and bounds. But before I move into cruising, does anyone have any questions about land tours or escorted or rail vacations?
You'll have to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question.
Okay, well then I will go on to the very exciting world, something that is growing year after year, and that is the world of cruising. Cruising is not just your major ocean liner anymore, and I say major because boy, these boats keep getting bigger and larger, and the things that they are showing people and the amenities that they have are quite amazing. But we've also seen a lot of people draw back and say, we want a smaller boat experience. So there's smaller ocean ships that may only have 400 people besides 5,000 people. There is also a product line that's coming out every year. There's more and more boutique yacht experiences. So there might be 100 or less people. You get to be able to go in a little bit closer to different destinations because of just a smaller, more intimate boat. And they just don't want to be surrounded with even, 300 people. They want a smaller experience. And there is a lot of that out there. And the price points are good. They're not, when I say a boutique yacht experience, some clients say, oh, that's not in my budget. But when you look and see what it is and what you're getting, it really does fit. And because there's so many options out there, there is some price competitiveness. Now, my favorite and thing that is growing leaps and bounds is river cruising. River cruising is, I think, one of the most intimate and wonderful ways to travel and to go from country to country. I highlighted some of my favorite riverboat cruises, but actually within the next 2 years, more and more companies are buying and making river boats. Celebrity is a pretty popular ocean cruise line. In 27, they are going into the rivers. And there's a lot of other companies that are coming out and putting riverboat cruises because of the demand is so high. And why? These boats are tiny. They are very intimate. They're 100 passengers to maybe 140 passengers. They're an all-inclusive option as well. And that means your meals are included. Your sightseeing is included. So that just everything that you would want, drinks with dinner, if you like a glass of wine or a beer, those things are all included. My number one thing that I love about this is you unpack once. So imagine you can start in Amsterdam, wind all the way down to Slovakia and never have, unpacked your suitcase once and seen all these countries as you go by. And because they're smaller ships, they're in the rivers, you're pulling right up to a city center, which is wonderful. And that means you can walk off the boat, explore on your own, but then have also varied options that are all included on how to sightsee. And they have everything from a gentle walking tour to the active individual that might want to bike up to the castle and do a wine tasting. There's something for everybody, for every age group. And I think it's so immersive because when you come back onto the boat, you're also getting performers coming onto the boat, lecturers coming onto the boat to talk about destination, and you're also getting cuisine that's specific to destination. So let's say, for example, you are going from Amsterdam all the way down, say, even to Germany. As you go through each country, the cuisine is going to change, the wine is going to change, the beer is going to change, and it's going to follow the countries that you're in. So it is incredibly immersive experience. And
Do you do anything with United States river cruises?
so they do, yes. So Viking and American Cruise Lines, if you don't have the desire to go outside of the United States, you can go down the Mississippi and the Ohio River, and there is a new product coming out in Oregon that runs along the Snake River. There isn't as much. The Mississippi really is the one that gives you the most sightseeing along the way, but there are options for you to try it out and not leave and not use your passport. So speaking of that, I did put this map because I think this is very exciting to see where you can go. I didn't put the US, so I'm sorry, that is the smallest amount of product that is out there right now, but it is there. But you can go through Portugal, through France, and as I've mentioned, starting in the Netherlands, going all the way down through Belgium, through Germany, Austria, all the way down to Serbia and Romania. So these are wonderful experiences. They're starting to build product in Italy as well. It's not very robust yet, but I think by 2028 we'll even have some products, better products in Italy. But you can go through Colombia, Asia along the Mekong. That's on my next bucket list. I would really like to see Cambodia and the temples at Angkor Wat. You can include a river cruise on your African safari and also do Egypt as well. So there are a lot of really unique products. And actually, there is one thing I'm left out is there is a product in South America on the Amazon as well. So there's really almost everything that you could possibly think of. There is a river cruise to do.
Question.
Any questions about river cruises or anyone been on a cruise through a river
Yeah.
before?
I have a question.
Okay, Joe.
In terms of efficiency, one of the things about land tours is that you're on a bus for a good part of the
Yes.
day.
Yeah.
Now, when you do a river cruise, do they actually do the cruising from city to city at night? So you aren't losing that time?
Sometimes there are days where you might have a day at sea or an afternoon or morning at sea. And I will tell you that is probably one of my favorite things to do. My last riverboat cruise, I was actually in Portugal, and you'll see going through all of the vineyards in the Douro Valley, which is their very famous wine region, are terrace gardens and are terrace vineyards that you go through. And to spend that morning after breakfast, I grabbed my book, sat outside and watched the world go by and see the different vineyards and see the different homes and the agriculture. Also going through on the Danube, you're going through and seeing the medieval towns and castles as you go. So it's a beautiful way to spend a few hours and kind of watch the world go by from the boat versus a motor coach. So, but they do the majority of it you will do at night. But it really depends on the cruise, which destination you're at, where you're traveling and when you're going. And if you have any interest in engineering or anything like that, going through these rivers and going through their lock system, and a lot of times you'll do that during the day. It was my favorite thing to do is sit up front and watch your boat come in and watch the water go down or the water rise up and cruise through the locks. It's quite amazing. And they'll tell you too about some of these, lock systems are hundreds and hundreds of years old. So it's a unique experience.
We
I
just
had,
did,
oh, go ahead.
Oh,
we did it. We did a trip last fall on the St. Lawrence Seaway. Went from Montreal up to Newfoundland and then down the east coast of Nova Scotia. So
Excellent.
it was a little bit bigger. It was like 600 passengers. It wasn't the smaller one, but it was still a riverboat cruise, which most people don't think of. I mean, it's a little
Yeah.
wider river, but
yeah.
it was very interesting stopping in Montreal, Quebec, and some of the small French towns up in Quebec that are kind of hard to get to by car.
Yeah. 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 That's a great way to see it. So I highly recommend it. Um,
I
it's just go ahead, Barb.
I just wanted to comment that I've only been on one river cruise, and unfortunately, you can't do that anymore. It was in Russia,
Oh,
and it was absolutely the most wonderful, trip that I have ever taken, and I would recommend a river cruise anytime. But I'm so sad that I can't tell people take the Russia cruise because it really was terrific.
I know there is so many great destinations, especially within Russia, that I wish we could see. And unfortunately, that's not available at this time.
Yeah, I had a couple thoughts that came to me after we talked about the um, land tours.
Yeah.
If you're intimidated about, you know, going on a land tour, just go to the website. Like I'm familiar with Gate One Travel. Go to the website. These sites are really organized well, and you can take any of their look up any of their tours, and you can look at the whole itinerary. It's really easy to deal with the websites, and then
Yes.
sometimes it gets confusing when you're trying to compare quotes from different companies, and you got to look at some of the details, like some companies charge more for the optional tours than others, and
Mhm.
some some of them have more meals. And then another thing is look up free time. I don't know. Uh, my wife and I like free time. I mean, to the extent that we only generally eat 2 meals a day. We don't use our free time to eat. So, you know, some of the tours have a lot of free time. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
That is a great point, is really looking at how fast you're going to be moving and will you have free time and downtime to explore and kind of create your own adventure while you're traveling. It is important to see that in the itinerary.
That kind of raises another point too, is that you can go to strictly to Viking or one of the tour companies, whether it's land. What are the advantage? I don't know, maybe you're going to cover that a little later. What are the advantage of going through a consultant versus going directly to one of the agencies? So somewhere if you want to.
Yeah. That's a great point, and thank you for bringing that up because that kind of goes back to when I was talking about, why use a travel consultant. And a great example here is the cost effectiveness. So that way you could say, someone comes to me and say, you know what, we want to do the Christmas markets on the Danube. We want to go from Munich to Vienna and back. And then we can sit down together and look at all the different options, look at all the itineraries, and look at what's included and what's not, and the pace of every sailing, and what you're going to be seeing. So that way, it's my job and my pleasure to show you, okay, here's where we're getting value with this product versus another product. And being able to see we're having a little bit more time here, and that's important to you to say we want more time in Vienna, or we want to spend a full day in Nuremberg because they have some of the best Christmas markets, in my opinion. Um, and to really go through and look and say, here is the best value. It has all the inclusions that we want, and can break down the, what is all included. Where would your spend be? I'll do that a lot with clients and say, we have this, here's our total investment, but you might have this, this, and this included. Or here's our total investment, and we don't have anything else that you have to think about and worry. How all inclusive, is a product, and that even goes for a riverboat cruise, an escorted tour, as Joe was mentioning. There's a lot of product out there. And why not have someone to say, I'm going to look and show you these 3 things or 4 things, and let's find the best value for you and where you're getting to see exactly what you want at the pace that you want and getting the best value. I hate to use that word, like, let's pick the cheapest one. That might not be the right way to look at it, but where's the best value that you're getting and getting everything that you want, and your dollar is going further? Yeah, that's a great question and comment.
We've also found that even if you're planning a trip on your own, it's often helpful to have a travel consultant help you find the right hotels. That's always a challenge as you're traveling, unless you have somebody that you've known that's gone there if you've been there before.
Yep.
Having somebody set up specific tours for you, recommend hotels. We have found that helpful even when we're doing our trip mostly on our own.
Absolutely. And it's nice to have someone that can understand. Some cities can be vast and large, and some city centers might not seem as central as others. In Europe, a lot of times your city center is circular, and then the suburbs and towns go around it. But then some aren't like that at all. Berlin is a prime example where there's so many things everywhere. Depending on why you want to go to Berlin, there's one area that can be very different from another area, and you could be really out and far away from where you would rather be, talking with an advisor and saying, okay, what do you want to do in Berlin, and what are you going to see? Okay, let's put you here, because even though, say, you've always wanted to stay at a Waldorf Astoria, for example, that's on the other side of the zoo, and it's really quite far away. And if you want to be walkable and go to everything, let's get you on this side of town, for example. So that is a benefit of an advisor, to really take a look at what do you want to see, and making sure you really are, city center, or finding that hotel that has a view of, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and, what arrondissement should I be in? Those are things that an advisor can help you with.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody
So
else have
next,
questions?
oh yes, before I go on.
Okay.
I would just
Okay.
wanted to, when you brought up Paris, one of the things that and travel advisors, I don't know, how versed you are in doing this, but sometimes people will want to stay in a hotel that's farther from the city center because it's not going to be as expensive. And so I learned a long time ago, and I've been to Paris 30 times. So, that you have to look at what is your value for not only money, but time. Because if you stay in the outskirts of Paris, it might take you a half hour on the metro to get to where you want to go. Whereas if you stay in the center of Paris, you can walk to where you want to go. And not only do you not have the transportation cost, but you also have the convenience. And, what do you want?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's a perfect example. Yes, of how's your time best going to be spent, and yeah, and provide the best value for what you want. And sometimes I have clients that just really want to stay far outside and they don't mind taking the train in. They love the metro system, let's say, but they want peace and quiet. So they'll, they don't mind the half-hour journey in, but getting to know your, clients and your travelers to know what would best suit them. But that's a great comment, though.
Yeah, I noticed we went to Venice, and it was kind of nice to stay in Venice, but it's really expensive and it's really crowded. And then we found out
Mhm.
there's some of these towns like Padua,
Mhm.
they're just a short train ride away,
Mhm.
and they're much less imposing, and you can just go to the train station in Venice and see Venice.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't have to stay there.
Exactly. Yeah. That's very true. Let's talk about the hottest travel trend that's out there right now, and that's multi-generational travel. And before I fell off of the screen, I was talking about how this has just become a great way to spend time as a family, experience a destination as a family, and this can go from grandparents taking everyone down to groups of family members traveling. That has become a very popular thing over the last 5 years or so. And there's so much that you can do. Cruising is one, as I mentioned, river cruising. There's river cruising products that also have things for little kids, like cooking classes where they're baking cupcakes and doing different language classes for littles, all the way up to adults. So there is a lot of fun things. There's the usual suspects of Disney and Universal. But a lot of families are saying, you know what, for Thanksgiving, we're foregoing the big family meal and we're going to go stay at an all-inclusive and warm ourselves in the sun. Holidays, Christmas time, traveling as a family, or even the spring breaks, winter getaways. Those are things that I'm really seeing come through and I think are a great way to travel as a family. And there's also a lot of product out there as homes or villas. We've seen the growth of Airbnb and VRBO, but there's also other products that travel agents can work with or travel consultants can work with as well. These are great things to do. And whether it just be getting a large house in northern Michigan to spend time as a family, or going to the US Virgin Islands and renting a house and staying as a family. It's a really great way to get together, enjoy, celebrate milestones. I just had a large family come back from Cabo San Lucas celebrating Dad's 80th birthday. And, it was aunts and uncles, a lot different, people all came to join and celebrate.
I have a
So it's
question.
definitely, yeah, go ahead, Joe.
So I have a situation where we have five sons and daughters, and they all have
Uh-huh.
families, and we try to get together, but it is quite a bit of friction for us to talk to each other and try to find a time. In fact, it gets irritating.
Hmm.
Uh, have you ever heard of like having the travel agent be the sort of the organizer of
Yes.
trying to get all the people together?
Yes. And that's what a lot of people will come to me, have met me and said, we've got all these people going on, family cruise. We've got cousins, aunts and uncles, or even if it's just even immediate family, but one kid's in Seattle, one kid is in North Carolina, or even if they're all in Michigan, but trying to organize them all and bring them all together and being the person that is communicating directly with all of them and then just letting the point person know, yep, we have, Sam and Sarah booked, we have Joe and Heidi booked, and doing all that and figuring out their air, figuring out their needs, their accommodations, what they want, how many rooms, maybe a crib for baby. All those things can be off the plate of the person whose idea it was, or maybe they're just the spokesperson for the family or the group and say, here's my dream. Some of the things of becoming a nightmare, not a beautiful reality. Can we work together and organize everything? So it takes me out of the mix, but someone can organize and talk with all the people and be the point person. So that happens quite a bit. And it's a nice way for that person to step back and say, okay, this is what we want to do, and then move forward and book everyone. Prime example was this family that just went to Cabo, and they were all over, and some went a little bit early, stayed a different, stayed later, did different things, and just wanted to communicate with one person and be there to answer all the questions and handle all the details. So yeah, it's a great question. Any other thoughts on the idea of multi-generational travel, or have you done things or have questions about what that looks like?
Actually, you might want the opposite of intergenerational travel. You want to make sure that there are no kids, and some people, and so you do have adults only, so you can choose between them.
Absolutely, absolutely. There can be something for all the adults, and then maybe another year you bring all the littles around, or maybe you never do. That's something that they can look forward to when they're an adult.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So the next trend, this is my absolute favorite trend, and I just love saying it, set jetting. It sounds so fun and so different and so unique. And this trend in travel is really based on all the shows that we're watching, the movies that we're seeing. I think it started a long time ago with even the books that you've read, following different authors through the UK, for example, is a great tour that a lot of people have done. But now we have amazing shows that we're binging and streaming, or movies we're seeing, like Outlander, Downton Abbey. There was the show White Lotus on HBO that has been filmed in 3 different locations at fabulous hotels, and people want to know, where was that filmed? I want to go stay there. The middle picture is actually the castle in Dubrovnik, Croatia. And I am not a Game of Thrones fan, but when I took a group there a few years ago, we were doing the city tour and wandering around the castle, and people kept talking about, oh, this is the scene of this stairwell to something. And I think it's really an interesting way to be inspired to go somewhere or find a unique destination or idea and say, okay, I want to go see that. I want to see where that happened. And maybe it's Lord of the Rings and you want to go to New Zealand, and they actually have a whole Hobbit town with the Hobbit homes that you can visit. So it's an interesting way to be in destination and see the sites if you've read the book, seen the movie, and now go see where it was filmed and where it was based on. Has anyone ever gone anywhere based on a favorite movie or show?
Actually, we were on a trip to Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, and it wasn't of any interest to Connie and myself, but there were a whole bunch of people that were really interested in the sound of music.
Oh, yeah.
And they went to those towns, whatever the town is. It Salzburg or
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Salzburg, and then there's some small towns where you can see the actual home where the Von Trapps filmed, and you can see the arena.
Yeah, I went on the optional tour, but I mean some of it wasn't a big deal to me, but I mean this thing was really big to some of these people.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Yes, there's people that get very excited. And I would tell you the benefit of also making sure that you work with the travel advisor to tell you about what you would like to see. I was in Croatia with this group, and one of our day trips was going down to Montenegro. And I thought, oh, and I wanted to see the country and see the cities. And I thought to myself, oh, one of my favorite James Bond movies, Casino Royale, there was this beautiful train ride and scene where they go to the casino, and it's in Montenegro. Well, that whole Daniel Craig, the Casino Royale, was actually filmed outside of Prague. And when I got to Montenegro, I'm like, oh, this is stunning. It's beautiful. But where's the casino? Where was the gorgeous train, trip? And you find out, well, no, actually, that was not where it was. So it's good to talk to somebody, say, oh, actually, that is a great, portion. If you want to see, that area, it might be in a different location than you might think it was. Oh, yes. Anyone else been to any unique destination based on a favorite show or movie?
No,
Okay.
Seems like
Well,
I was in a country
then,
once, and I don't even know where it was, but evidently it's has a bunch of this Game of Thrones stuff. But I don't even remember where I was. But anyway, my grandkids really lit up when they saw this.
yeah, weren't you in Iceland? Was that?
Yes, we were in Iceland.
No,
Yep.
Is that where it was?
that was in Dubrovnik in Croatia, the Game of Thrones.
Yep. They did do some filming in Iceland as
Yeah.
well. But
Yeah.
yeah, a bulk of their filming was in Dubrovnik.
Yeah,
Yes.
if you were into the Game of Thrones, people were crazy there.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I didn't watch the show, but
I
a lot
I
of the
didn't
people in my group.
I didn't either, but I was trying to think of anybody that I could buy a souvenir for because anything you might want was there.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how there's so many souvenir shops. I was visiting a friend of mine who now lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I didn't watch the show Breaking Bad, but apparently it was set there and filmed there, and every shop had a lot of different, trinkets that you could get from the Breaking Bad show. So, well, yeah,
Can I
that's
ask?
one way to
Can I
make
ask
money.
some nuts and bolts questions?
Susan
Yeah.
has her hand up.
Oh,
Oh,
somebody has their hand up?
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes.
This is Susan Shields. Hi. Sorry, I dialed in late, but I'm enjoying this. The point of, going places where books or movies have been filmed or take place. Um, when our kids were young, Harry Potter was just coming out, and we all loved the Harry Potter books and listened to them over and over. And now the next generation or so has had the movies come out. So we were recently in Scotland and also England. And there are sites in both countries where, oh, J.K. Rowling sat at this coffee shop and she wrote that I think that was Scotland. She wrote all her novels in this coffee shop. And then we did a walking tour in the city of Oxford, and it was a Harry Potter walking tour. So it was great because we got the highlights of Oxford, but through the lens of the Harry Potter movies. And like you said, it was like, oh, the opening scene was done at this stairwell, and here's the tree that so and so used their magic wand to turn so and so into a whatever. It was fun. It just for us to see it through the lens of the show. So Harry Potter's another really big one.
Yes. And yeah, and there are so many, it's a unique way to see and learn about a destination, especially from the perspective of an author or, seeing the shows or things where things were filmed. It's just a great way to, look again at history and what makes you remember a place like that. There's a bookstore in Portugal, and actually a little funny random trivia for you is in Porto, J.K. Rowling spent some time when she first started writing as well. And at the University of Porto, they have a little social organizations. Think of them like a fraternity, but not really, more academic. And they're called tunas, just like the fish that we eat. But they're musical groups. And every division has a tuna. So there might be an anthropology tuna, accounting tuna, but these men wear black long robes and they go around and they perform for money. They're amazing singers. And that's how they fund their trips to do different things. And it's been happening for hundreds of years. And that was where she got the idea for those long black robes wore for these tunas in Porto. So that's my husband always say, oh, Hillary, and your useless trivia. But I love how there's different books and stories and, get drawn from a lot of different places throughout the world. I think it's cool. Yeah.
New Zealand's another one that's got a lot of great movies. Lord of the Rings, and
Yes.
we were there, and I'm not a big fan of that, but the people that were just absolutely loved it. The places that they could see there, and I think maybe somebody
Yes.
out of there, or who it was there too. But the Lord of the Rings was the big thing there. And they
Yeah.
for a small country, it's fantastic scenery for movies. So they've done. I didn't realize that they've done an awful lot of movies in New Zealand.
They have. Yeah. Lots of gorgeous green spaces in New Zealand. Yes. Now, Joe, were you going to say one thing too before I move on?
Yeah, this is kind of a nuts and bolts type thing.
Yeah.
If a travel consultant puts together a trip, like for a family or something, are they
Mhm.
usually compensated by like fee for service, or how does that work?
Oh, that's a good question. So when you were to ask someone, say, hey, we want to do a Harry Potter family adventure through the UK, for example, is that what you're thinking? Like something like that? And then
Yeah,
how is a
and then
travel
you
consultant?
you do a bunch of work, okay?
Yep. Yep. That is a great question. And I'm glad because I didn't even put that in the beginning of my slides, and I should. A great misnomer of how it all works, and my easiest way to explain it is, let's say you get a brilliant idea. I'm going to go throughout the UK and I'm going to book all these hotels and these tours and create the perfect family itinerary to the UK with a Harry Potter theme. Now, when you do that, you'll go online and you'll go to different suppliers, hotel chains, let's say, maybe you're booking a rail tour, whatever. There those companies are paying the internet to put that stuff out for you as a consumer. So, but those products, tour companies, hotels, rail, they also then pay me as I become the internet to them, and I am their tool that is selling their product. So every tour product pays me as opposed to you paying me for a service. I get paid by the hotels, by the tour operators, by the Rail Europe, for example, or something like that. All of those companies pay me instead of paying a web service or their inside people to sell their product. I'm basically a salesperson that works for thousands of hotel chains and tour operators and tourist boards throughout the world. Yeah.
Okay.
Does
So
that
does
make sense?
Yeah, and then that means you could do a whole lot of work, and then the people could say, well, we can't afford it. And then
So
you don't get
yes.
anything, right?
Yeah, that is true. There are some people that will ask for a a deposit, or will say a service fee. For example, say, okay, I would love to work on this with you. What I try to do and what I found works best is, and it helps that I've been doing this for a long time, is to start talking with the client and detailing what they want, and then talking about a number. I say, some people don't love talking finance. I made the joke about, we don't like, I'm not a financial person, but I do like to just really feel people out and look at escorted tours and say, here's a tour to the UK for 10 days. It's $3,000 a person. How do you feel about it? Does that fit your budget? And or we just talk numbers. So then I can get a sense, because it doesn't serve me or serve you as a client to build this amazing trip and five-star luxury hotels, and then you go, oh, Hillary, I don't want to stay in a Four Seasons. I'm more of a Holiday Inn type of a person. So if you talk with them and get to know them and decide, okay, this is what we're thinking, this is what we are willing to spend, I can create something like that. Has there been a situation in the past where they've said, I want to do this, my budget is only this, and I might say, I can't do that. You may be able to find a hostel, like it might be a smaller, really simple thing, but for most budgets, I can find something. It's very rare that um, I've had somebody just say a number and I'm like, well, that doesn't, that doesn't work. Or sometimes during Christmas, when someone will say, I want to go spend a week over Christmas and I want to go to Turks and Caicos, but I want to spend $500, a night total. And I'm like, well, Christmas is the most expensive time to travel. And unfortunately, even a two-star, airport property is more expensive than that. So we just have honest conversations. Then it helps. So I'm not doing work for free and I'm finding what the client really wants. Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments about my favorite trend? Okay. Now, another fun one, and I actually just saw something on my computer before I got onto this presentation. Sports travel, special event travel has become huge. What I was saying, I just saw online, the Detroit Lions are going to be playing in Munich and playing at the Bayern Munich soccer stadium. I'm a big soccer fan, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but so we're seeing a lot of people traveling for sports or for some special event. We have the Olympics. If we've all just got done enjoying everything about the Winter Olympics, all wanting to go to Milan now and seeing this beautiful country, we have the Olympics coming to us in LA in 28. A lot of people have probably heard about the World Cup coming to North America this summer. So it will be in Mexico and Canada and the US. In 27, the Ryder Cup, big golf tournament, will be happening back in Ireland. Masters, Kentucky Derby, people love traveling to these events. My biggest fan, I am a diehard soccer fan. I love English soccer or football. And people traveling to see these famous matches at these iconic stadiums. F1 has become quite the big draw. I had no idea about any of it until the last 2 years. Monaco has been a signature event for the, rich and famous, but now there's something for everybody. But the F1 is in Vegas. It was in Austin. It's in Madrid. There's different places where people want to go see an F1 racing experience. I mentioned NFL abroad. This picture below where you see the Irish flag and the US flag is from my client who is a diehard Vikings fan. And so he went to Dublin and then to London to see two games over this fall, which I thought was a really exciting. And they had a great time enjoying, English and Irish culture, but then also having their American football. This summer, the solar eclipse is going over Spain. So we're seeing families and people having interest to be at the point of totality in central Spain, just outside of Barcelona. And Zaragoza is a good town to visit to see that. And tennis is a huge draw. Australian Open, Wimbledon is a great draw, a great stadium to be in. I will tell you and just warn you right now, Wimbledon is one of the most expensive sporting events to attend. So that's not for the faint of heart when people see tickets, and they're quite hard to get, and but it's quite an experience to go. So yeah, those are some of the really cool, different trends in travel where people want to go and be in some of these iconic stadiums, whether it be in North America, throughout Europe, going to Australia for the Australian Open. There's so many unique sporting events and things that you can see. And I know Al has this claim to fame to get to go to France and see the French Open.
Yeah, the red clay courts and just watching the tennis there is just so different. It was a thrill to be able to get into that. And we were fortunate to find some discount tickets, so it wasn't quite as expensive.
Good. Yes. You can get lucky. I had some travelers wait out for a Wimbledon ticket, and it wasn't as expensive, but it was still an expensive experience. But it was a cool experience to say late. And some even concerts. I have a few couples going to the UK to see famous concerts or see shows that they want to go see, and incorporate a vacation around that as well. So. All right. Any other comments or questions about sports travel or? All right.
I have a question, but it's not
Oh,
about sports travel.
yeah, go ahead. And now my next slide is travel insurance. So let's talk. I'd rather talk about something else. So please ask.
I was wondering, I have a friend who is wondering, is there any kind of business or availability of someone to be a travel companion? Like for a person that's going somewhere, would like to go somewhere alone, but doesn't want to go alone and would like to have someone go along with them and they're willing to like pay their plane fare and hotel and whatever. Does that kind of situation exist? Is there an organization that does that? Or would this be
You
a
know, that's a good question. And specifically, nothing comes to mind, but I'll do some research and see what I've seen and what I have encouraged in the past from clients, but even just my past life in a supplier side as opposed to working as a travel advisor is I really encourage people. There's a lot of different social organizations to find like-minded travelers and travel in a group, whether it be perhaps, different, oh gosh, there's some, senior centers that will have robust travel programs, different churches, social organizations. There might even be a travel club in your area that is doing different trips and getting people together to travel together. And I find
this
that to be a
this
really
is
nice.
yeah, that this is a little bit different. I'm thinking what this person wants to do is like accompany a solo traveler who wants to go
Yeah.
somewhere but doesn't want to go by themselves and is willing to like pay the expenses of that person. And
Yeah.
that
I,
person,
I love the idea of that, and I think that would be a great way to travel and, accompany someone. But off the top of my head, I don't know, but I would love to do some research and see if there is something like that, because there very well could be.
uh,
And
she would like to, like maybe develop that as and she didn't know if there was such a situation existed already or if this would be a new thing or what.
yeah, that's a great question. And I don't know, but I'll find out and I'll reach back with Al and Joe and let them know what I find out to let the group know. But that's, yeah, I haven't had that question, so I love a new question and I'll find out.
And you haven't had a client that wants to travel and would like someone to go with them.
I haven't. And well, when I've steered them towards a group within our community so they would actually get to know people first.
Uh-huh.
I'm in the Grand Rapids area. So for example, I have different, groups that will do several tours through, out the year, and they have social meetings, whether it be coffee and donuts, hanging out, or doing travel presentations, kind of like what we're doing today, but maybe in person, and get to know the people and maybe want to travel with them, and then started traveling with the group. But I like this idea too, because sometimes there has been a time where they're like, oh, well, I didn't really want to do that trip, but I want to travel. But say my bucket list is I want to do Australia, New Zealand, and XYZ group doesn't have that on their agenda for another year or two. So, yeah, in the past, I've just, guided them towards some of our local travel groups to kind of encourage friendship and traveling with like-minded people. Um, but yeah, I've never had to try to find a travel companion. I like the idea of that.
I
Okay,
will,
well,
I
thank
will
you for that. Um,
Yeah.
a little bit different thing from that. UMRA is actually doing a 2-night trip up to Stratford, and there are people that are looking to share a room to save cost and kind of share a trip. That's not exactly what you were, Barb.
yeah, no, that's not what I'm
that's not what you're talking about, but it is a way to travel with people if you don't want to travel on your own. And
Hmm.
there are people that to save cost would say, well, I'm willing to share a room with them. So if that might be something, and I would encourage you to sign up for it if you're interested in that trip because it is starting to fill up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but that's a great idea. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's something out there, but I'm going to do some research. I like this idea. If not, I've got a new little side business that I could create, finding people to travel along. So,
Well, I will let my friend know and maybe see if she wants to contact you or whatever, but
absolutely.
she already
Yeah.
she already has a contact at your agency
Oh, good.
in California.
Oh,
Gloria
good, good. She probably knows
has a
Gloria.
contact,
Yes. Good.
but
Good.
she wanted me to ask if particularly because I told her about this program today and she wasn't able to attend, but because she's working. But
Yeah. Well, and
Hillary,
I'll leave my information for you too. So if you have any questions or, if she wants to follow up with me and I'll do some research, but I'll also let Joe and Al know as well what I find out. So yeah, I'm here to answer any questions. And I like this idea of I'm sure there's probably something. So I'm excited to do some research on that.
thank you.
Hillary, do you
Yeah.
think do you think we can do justice to travel insurance in 3 minutes, or
We,
do we just
I
let it
know.
go?
We can let it go. And if there's any other questions, and I would love to come back, and I'm just inserting myself into your travel group discussion. But we can definitely do another conversation on travel protection or any other questions that come off of this presentation. I'm happy to, add some slides, and yeah, we could spend an entire hour talking about,
I
travel.
I had
Travel.
a person that sent me a question in advance, so I sort of
Yeah.
feel and they were wondering about this ETIAS and
Yes.
whether it's something you really got to worry about.
So, we're in a waiting game right now. And it is coming, and the European countries are kind of trying to get their ducks in a row to get it established. And within every destination, and some countries are asking you to fill out a form. And in essence, what it is going to be right now is just an immigration form, as of right now. And it might just say, I'm coming into, let's say Germany for one is, we'll have it and say, I'm coming into Germany. I'm visiting Berlin, Munich, and Nuremberg. I'm staying here, here, and here. My dates are this and that. A lot like, those forms you fill out when you get on the airplane and you're about to arrive in destination. They're automating those things. That's a great thing. Saving the trees, doing that before you leave. But another part of this is going to be the visa part of it. Now, we don't have confirmation or a set date of when it is going to begin. We don't even have a what is this going to cost as of right now. They've been working on it. They're trying to fine tune it. They're trying to figure out how this is going to work. I think they're getting close. And when they do get close, it will be a pretty seamless and easy process. Now, the UK has already done its visa. So now, if you want to travel to the United Kingdom, so anywhere besides mainland Ireland, but Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England, you do have to fill out a visa form. It's about 13 or 14 US equivalent US dollars. It's valid for 2 years. It's very easy. It's a form you fill out, it's attached to your passport. So that is what this is going to look like in terms of European countries. There'll be some that will be that it won't be everyone. For example, Switzerland right now is kind of saying I'm not involved in that. But it's a program that's kind of in flux. It's something that we're reading about and we're watching every day. I'm not worried that it's going to be a situation, let's say, I have a couple leaving for Athens and then winding up in Italy in April. As of right now, I don't have them filling out any forms, but I'm watching every single day to know. And that's another great benefit of having a travel consultant or an advisor. I'm being alerted to any sort of change. So when the UK established their ETA visas, I knew when it was coming, I knew it was going on, and my clients knew, and they knew how to fill out the forms. Because we'll want to be cautious too with going online and just typing in UK visa. You could fill out fake forms. We've seen these on the news of people filling out a fake form, paying money to a bad entity, and not filling out the proper paperwork. So that you will, using a travel advisor or talking to someone to ask about that information, but also going to our government websites, our embassy websites to find that information. I tell all my clients, my friends, my family, the next door neighbor going on a vacation, always go to a trusted source. Don't just Google search, any sort of visa or things like that. Get it from a government source. So yes, I know right now we're all wondering when and where. Right now, arriving into Europe is also getting a little hairy because we're being photographed as we enter. They're adding a lot more biometrics into our arrival process. This does not mean that your passport will go away. You will have your passport. I have a group of gals that are leaving for Switzerland in September, and they were really nervous about what about our passports? Passports will always be a thing that we will have. But unfortunately, and I'm very upset because I've kept all my passports since I was 15 years old, and I love looking at the book of beautiful stamps or visas in them. And a lot of those are going away. So while you might and probably won't get stamps anymore, which I really miss, your passport going to be utilized. They're going to be photographing you using that, but they won't be stamping your passports anymore. And that is delaying making your arrival into customs run a little bit longer for European arrivals. So that's the one thing I mentioned to clients, or I mentioned to anyone that's traveling. It is slowing down a little bit, but nothing, as long as then it's not as disruptive as it can be. We're all kind of groggy after an 8, 9, 10-hour flight, and going through the rat race of customs can be tiring. So knowing that there's a little extra step or wondering why they're photographing you, if you know, then it's less scary or less bothersome. Yeah. Any other questions? All right.
Okay,
Can we
thank
invite you
you.
back? Can we invite you back to talk more about travel insurance, particularly?
Absolutely. I've already told Al and Joe that I would love to. Like I mentioned, I love talking travel. I'll even talk about some of the not as exciting stuff as travel insurance, but it doesn't make it not important. It's very important. So I love to give you ideas and talk about why it's important. So yeah.
Okay.
I'm